Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be making these little hats are 0 to 3 months. They are double knit. This one has a brim. I didn't do a brim for this one, and we're not going to do a brim today. I'm just going to make another one of these with this, well actually not with this yarn, but I'm going to make another one of a solid color. I haven't put any pom-poms on these because I just wanted to show you how I do the tops and what they look like. So we are going to do it on a 48 pin. You're going to need about 150 yards of whatever you're using. I'm going to be using this variegated yarn. It's being discontinued from Hobby Lobby, but that's what it is. And the color is 86. That's what it's going to look like. Now this roll is about 121 yards, and I used just a little over a roll, which is just one of those small rolls. I used just over that, so I'm guessing around 150 yards you'll be safe. You won't run out. So find your weight pin. My weight pin. Now if you're just new to this, then you're not going to really know, but you want to leave a tail. And in your instructions it should tell you that you go, so I'm in front, I go one behind. Let me move this so you can see what I'm doing. So I go behind this guy, in front of this guy, behind, in front, behind, in front, and I do that all the way, zigzagging till I come back around to my other pin. I call them pins. They're hooks. I mean, it's a knitting machine, but I call them pins for some reason. I don't know why. I guess because it's a 48 pin. So I'm going to go behind this one. That's my white one where I started. I'm going to go behind this last pink one because I went in front of the white one. And down here, that's your gauge. So you just have to figure out where you're putting it. I'm going to put it in medium, which is the one in the middle. My marker's on 0. I'm going to do 52 rows. Once I get untangled. So the first row is still going to be every other spot. So when you come back around, reset your marker again, because it would have counted when you loaded, and it would count that, but technically this is your first row. So take your number 2 off your marker and let's begin. So what you're looking for is to make sure every single one of these pegs has got yarn around it and only one piece. If you use really soft yarn, you're not going to have any problems. So that's my 52 rows. So when you cut your tail, just make sure it's long enough that you're not going to run out. You're going to have extra at the end, so you're going to have to cut some off anyway. But get a needle. I use one of these with a hooked edge on it. It's just way easier. Now this might seem fiddly. I can manage to thread my, I had a big head on this and I can't seem to manage to get this in there for some reason. Get out of here. Take it out of everything. This might seem fiddly, but it's really not that bad. So you want to turn your machine and then just go in and pick off. Now hold this down next to it though, because pull this way so you don't accidentally pull your next stitch off. Now you have to start off doing one at a time until you gain a little bit of space, and then you can do multiples. So you just don't want to drop any stitches doing this process. So I'm going to start doing 2 at a time. Keeping my finger on the stitch over here so I don't lose anything. Some of your yarn can be quite slippery. This stuff is actually quite slippery. Or if you want to keep it safe, you can always just turn and pick at the same time. It seems fiddly, but it really doesn't take that long. Here we go. I'll meet you at the craft table. Alrighty. So, let me get my needle out of here. We stretch our work. Doesn't look very big, I know. So turn it around to the purl side, to the back. I like to stitch up the tops of my hats. So let me show you. That's what the tops end up looking like, which is great if you don't want to put a pom-pom on. You want it to look like that. So this is how I do it. I'm putting a pom-pom on those anyway, but so stretch it out, and of course this is back here if you've done any color changes or whatever, which I haven't showed you, but if you already know, this is of course where you're going to be tying them all together and hiding them or whatever. So I'm just going to pull on this, just making sure it's not bunching, cinching up the top. So this gets really long once you do that, so I'm just going to cut some off. So this hat will take you about 15 minutes from start to finish. So once I've cinched that closed, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to make a knot and pull back and forth to tighten that knot. So to get the look on the top of that hat, inside out, now I'm going to, I want to cinch around here. So now I'm going to go weave just around the top where I just made that, where that hole is. So I'm just going to weave in and out. So I can cinch it up. So I'm almost cinching it twice. And then I'm going to come across and make another knot and pull back and forth. Make that nice and tight. So I want to do the same to the other side, but I want this to be right side in when I do it. So I'm just sticking my hook down, or my needle down the center, because I want to pull this through to the other side. So if you need your hat to be a little bigger, this is a single knit, so I mean it'll probably fit an older child, but we are making a newborn to 3 months. So we're going to cinch this side. Now this is the part that's going to go inside the hat. That's why it doesn't matter whether it's inside out or not. So again, I'm just going to cut some off because I don't need that much. So I didn't have any problems with this particular yarn. I've never used it in my machine, but it was nice and soft, so I figured I wouldn't have an issue. So again, I'm going to cinch. I'm going to go through and make a knot to hold that. I don't like how that's rolling over there. So I'm going to just go around. I'm going to do the same thing even though it's on the inside of the hat. I'm going to do the same thing to cinch it closed properly. Just get into the habit of doing that, and you've got a double cinch on the top of your hat. It just gives it a way better look than how some other people I've seen sew tops of hats. So now that that's done, I'm going to stick that down the middle because I'm going to shove this whole hat oh my gosh, I can't seem to keep that in there. Alright, so I'm going to shove that up inside, and I want my needle to come out not in the same place as this, but kind of over to the side like that, because I'm going to tie these two pieces together. So stick your hat inside your hat. Make sure it's all straight like it should be. It's a very small hat, but keep in mind this is newborn to 3 months, so I'll put my chart my chart up for you to see. But so we're just tying these two together. This is from the one side and this is from this side, really super tight, and I do it like 3 or 4 times, really super tight. So now you're not going to see this. Even if you don't put a pom-pom on it, you won't see it, because that's how I've done that hat, and you cannot see where I've put that. So once you're done, these guys can get hidden. Now go down as close as you can to obviously the lead. You're just going to go up into the first layer. You don't have to go far. You're just hiding. So once you cut it off, you have a little nubby. You can just pull that into the hat. Just hides it. You'll never see it again. And then you can do the same with this guy. And there we go. So according to the hat chart, this will fit anywhere from newborn to 3 months. I'm going to put a pom-pom on it, but I have pom-pom makers. But if you don't have a pom-pom maker, there's lots of videos online showing you how to do a pom-pom. Okay, so I'm making a pom-pom. I've already started this side, but I'll show you the other side. If you've got these, just pull this down and start wrapping. I'm just using the same yarn I used to make the hat. Because it's variegated, I'm hoping to get to at least a color change that'll be good. Make sure it doesn't do that though. Don't want it up on that thing. So just take your time when it comes to this part. I can't seem to listen to my own advice. So you just got to keep it even. I'm just making a very tiny one since this is just going to be on a newborn hat. So that's about good for me. I'm going to close that up. I'm going to cut that off, and I'm going to come around to the other side, and I'm going to start wrapping. Oh, I'm all staticky from using the machine. The machine does cause some static, so if you're looking at maybe spending the money on an Addy, I gotta tell you right now, because of the static this causes, your counters are digital, they will stop working. So a Sentro has one of them old school flip ones where the numbers just flip. So static obviously does not affect those, so your counters will always work. And Sentros are way less expensive. For a 48 pin Addy, you're looking at about $400. So now they are good machines. However, the number one complaint from everybody is the counter because of the static this causes. When I pull my yarn out, I use a fabric softener sheet as I'm pulling my yarn out, so it cuts down on the fabric or the static. But spend $400 for a machine that the counter stops working kind of sucks, because not having a counter sucks. You know, you don't seem to get a counter on a 22 pin unless you buy an Addy. Sentros haven't figured out that we need counters on those yet. So now we need a bigger pair of scissors. So now that you've got this wrapped, you're going to take your scissors and you're going to just start cutting. You will need heavy duty scissors for this. Even though this is small, you're still going to need heavy duty scissors to get it all cut. So once you've got it cut, you need to take a piece. And this groove in here goes all the way around. You're going to put that in there all the way around, making sure that stays closed. So once you got it all the way around, you need to tie really tight knots, like pull hard. And do that 2 or 3 times. You want this sucker to hold. And one more time for me. Sorry, I know this video's probably too long already. Alright, so once you've got that tied, now you can open everything. And once you have everything open, pull on these little white guys, pull them apart. They go right back together, easy peasy. Just like that. And you've got your little pom pom. So just shake it out. You're going to have to do a little bit of trimming. So I've got these pieces that pop up. And if you want this to be fuzzier, now my yarn is fuzzy enough, so I don't need to really trim it down. But if you want this to be fuzzier, use a bigger pom pom and then trim down to this size, because the lower you trim, the smaller you trim, the more you trim, the fuzzier it gets. So If you really want a nice fuzzy round pom-pom, and you want this size, you just need to use the bigger one and then cut it down. That is it. So thread your ends one at a time because they're going to be in two different places. You don't want them in the same place because you're going to tie a knot. Hard to do. So I'm going to go down to one side, and then I'm going to do the next one, and I'm going to go over here to the other side. And again, you're going to do really tight knots, and 2 or 3 of them. A lot of knot tying in a hat project. But if your hands are anything like mine, which are not the best shape, it beats sewing. So once I have that all done, I'm not just going to cut this off because I don't want the knot to work its way loose. I'm actually just going to do the same thing I did with the hat before. I'm going to go just up into the first layer. I'm pulling down on this side so I don't get through both layers. I just want one layer of hat to hide my ends. There we go. Easy peasy. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you in the next video.